It's bank earnings season in Nigeria. We've seen a flurry of results come out over the last week. And today, joining us in the studio to take a look at Oceanic Bank's results, as you mentioned, is Oyikan Adewale, the CFO of Oceanic Bank. Thank you so much for coming on to the show. Right, let's first of all start with the numbers. Very impressive. I think many analysts particularly say the profit numbers up to 13 billion. PBT moving up to 13 billion from 2.5 billion in the first quarter. Can you just give us a sense of what's responsible and to what extent is that a reflection of recoveries, which we know Oceanic is making?
First, it's nice to be back. Thanks for inviting us again. We had a lucky break in quarter two. Interest rates came down, and so that helped us bring down cost of funds massively. At the end of September, cost of funds was something like 9.7. In January, it was 16.8 or something. So that lucky break in interest rates coming down helped us massively. From January to September, we've recovered about 111 billion naira of NPLs, and the impact on the P&L has been about 14.8 billion. So in that 13.1 billion PBT, right, there's about 14.8 billion. So we're almost breaking even. One of our biggest strategic imperatives for this year was to break even, and we're almost there.
So did you say 14 or 4.1?
14.8.
14.8?
Yes, of recoveries.
Okay, I see. All right, interesting. Now, give us a sense of your deposits. We see that rise up about 6% from Q1 levels. Last time you were on the show, you obviously talked about your geographic footprint and so forth. What really is responsible for that? Because there's a sense that many of the rescued banks have seen that brand erosion, which may have impacted on their ability to bring in deposits.
If you remember, the first time I was here, I did talk about brand resilience and customer loyalty in Oceanic, and we've seen that sustain itself. What we have is a 15% growth in deposits since December 2009. And we can only attribute that to those things again. Brand resilience. It's a good, solid brand. The 375 branch network is working well. We're sweating it. And then we're giving good customer service. We launched our customer care center a few months ago. And the customers are loyal. We've never defaulted on any deposits since intervention. Customers come to the counter, they get their money, and that's what the average man in the street wants. So we've seen deposits grow by 80 billion since January 1. We're very happy about that.
Okay, let's look at NPLs, because that's a huge talking point. Last time you were here, you did mention the figure was about 620 billion. What levels are they now? More so, given the fact that there was this plea deal between the CBN and the former CEO of Oceanic Bank. To what extent has Oceanic Bank benefited from that?
Okay. NPLs were 620 Q2, like you said. They'd grown to 650 by Q3, primarily because of interest. Because whether the man pays or not, you debit in the account for interest and you credit in interest in suspense. So we've seen NPL go up by about 30 billion, primarily due to interest. Of that 650 billion at the end of September, about 330 was insider related. Now 310 of that 330 has been resolved as a result of the plea bargain. So you will find now that our NPL ratio, which sat at 69% prior to the plea bargain, once AMCON, transacts with us on those assets, will go down to like 54%, which is massive from where we're coming from. We used to be around 71%. So when you asked what the benefits are to the bank, if you've looked at the stock price of the bank, in the last fortnight since the plea bargain, the stock price has gone up to like 2.33 naira, 2.31 kobo. It was 1 naira 2 kobo before the plea bargain. So that's been a major benefit. Even with the conversations we're having with the bidders, with the potential core investors, you've seen renewed keenness now that the overhang of possible litigation from the previous majority shareholders has been removed by sheer dint of the plea bargain. Now, if you look at the numbers, if 310 billion of NPLs go off the books, it does massive things for the balance sheet ratios. We don't have an exact figure yet of how much we'll get from AMCON for those loans. The court has ordered that assets with a historical value of 191 billion be forfeited to AMCON. AMCON transacts based on the value of collateral. We're working on the valuation now, but we expect, conservatively maybe 100 billion, which will do massive things for the liquidity of the bank. If I get 100 billion today, my liquidity ratio will move from 17% to 29%. It's that massive. When I get that liquidity, I can pay down into bank borrowings because that's killing my P&L right now. So it does huge things for the bank.
Okay, let's very quickly look at your strategy going forward. And we do know that Oceanic Bank has been an international bank. And
Yes.
we heard that you are looking to move into about 18 countries. Can you just give us a sense of where you will be post-recapitalization? And of course, given the fact that the central bank has brought out new banking rules, which has brought in new capital requirements for different sizes of banks.
Okay, if you remember again, I think the first interview we had, we did say one of the first things management would do would be to rationalize the whole subsidiary program of the bank. And we'd found at the time that the bank was trying to get into 18 countries. 3 were already opened in Gambia, Sao Tome, and Cameroon. Those 3 we left open because, there were banks operating under, regulatory regimes in 3 different countries. The 15 that were work in progress, we wound them down. Now, even before
So are you going to keep those 3?
With the new CBN guidelines, by the 2nd of January, we will have to go back and tell the central bank whether we want to be regional, national, or international.
Right.
Now, based on the realities of the bank today, we believe that the best option is national. And why do I say that? Regional means that you have operations in 6 states. We're everywhere in Nigeria. So we have too much of a widespread branch network, which we love, to be regional. So regional is excluded.
National, obviously.
Where we are today with negative shareholders funds, it's easier to get to 25 billion for national than 50 for international. So we believe we'll be going back to tell the central bank that we will become a national bank, a standalone national commercial bank.
All right.